Welcome to How to Run Profitable Retreats. I am Lainey Cavazos, retreat strategist and host of the show for coaches, entrepreneurs, and transformational leaders who want to design retreats that actually make money. If you've ever put your heart into a retreat only to walk away exhausted or worse, broke, you are not alone. This podcast is here to change that. Each week, I'll bring you stories, strategies, and expert insights to help you create meaningful, transformational retreats that also support your business, your lifestyle, and your bottom line. Let's make your next retreat not just powerful, but profitable. Hello, welcome to another podcast episode of How to Run Profitable Retreats. I am your host, Lainey Cavazos, and I am so excited today to bring Dr. Lori McDowell. And I have to tell you that I know Lori in person. Yes, I know. Everything is usually on the digital space, but I actually got to meet her. Well, she was a speaker at one of our online summits, and then I got to meet her in Florida at the Soulful Leadership Retreat. Isn't that amazing, Lori?
It was great to meet you in person, and it was a great event. I loved seeing, all the amazing people there.
Yes. So everyone listening here, this is a power of your network and connecting with people and creating opportunities, because a couple of months later, here she is, a guest in my podcast. I'm super, super excited to have you. So for anyone who does not know Dr. Lori McDowell, just know that she's a transformational strategist. She's a retreat curator, reinvention expert who helps visionary leaders design soul-aligned, high-impact experiences without burnout and overwhelm. And she is a founder of ReimagineU Strategies and creator of Done For You transformational retreats. So she has been here in decades of work, okay? So she brings leadership with deep mindset and subconscious work. She's also a TEDx speaker and bestselling author of the reinvention mindset. Anyway, we can talk hours and hours and hours about who Lori is. Lori, I am so excited to have you here, and we're going to be talking about the power of retreats. And we're going to be talking a little bit about mindset and what stops you and how retreats can also change your life. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
So tell us, from your experience, what do you consider is the power of retreats?
What retreats do, the power of retreats is they completely change your frame of reference. And I mean, back when I worked in corporate America, I'm an engineer by degree, and I worked in corporate America. And one of the things I did was I helped host retreats for our clients. And it was amazing how, we had these customers and we're meeting them in the offices, and they were, very technical, very, very kind of boring meetings, really stuck on topic, nothing really exciting. And then we would bring them to one of these retreats, and it would just completely transform the relationship afterwards. And suddenly they weren't just a customer, we weren't just a supplier, we were actually, bonded, we were friends, we were colleagues, and it changed how we did business. And so, we stopped talking about things like price, and we really just talked about, life and business. And it's so, what the power is, it changes your frame of reference to where you actually get to go to the space that's creates something completely different, and then you can take it with you moving forward.
Yeah, I really enjoy how you framed it. It is so important for us to understand that when we are attending a retreat, I call them a container for rapid transformation.
Hmm.
Because we're coming with an intention, whatever that intention might be for the retreat, but we're all gathering with the same goal in mind. And because of that, everyone's energy, everyone is propelling towards that direction, right? And the results become so much stronger and they come so much faster. You can create friends for life, partnership for lives, relationships for life. Anything is possible because you chose to be in this space, in this container. that everyone else is also there with the same mindset, same goal, same connection. Isn't that powerful?
It is so powerful. Yeah. And it's amazing because everyone has the same intention and you're all in the same spot, but yet the experiences are very unique and personal to you. So you're all kind of moving towards the same way, but you're not all getting necessarily the same transformation or the same thing out of it. And that's why it's even more powerful because it's very personal and it's very, a sacred container for the group all going in the same way. So you get like retreats give you the best of both worlds. You get the community, the teamwork, and you also get to have your own personal experience.
Hmm. Yes, it is. Well, I mean, for anyone who knows me, you know that I love retreats. They changed my life. First time, not for the best, but afterwards, it all became better, right? And it is so beautiful. And actually, Lori, let me tell you this story. When I decided to open up my retreat company, right? The retreat planner, it wasn't because I came from this space of I've hosted 15 years of retreats and then I want to teach you how to host retreats. I came to it here because I saw a gap, I saw a need, and I knew I could fulfill it from the space of helping people run their marketing, run it like a business, sales, the whole shebang, right? I was not, I've learned this is what works for me, so I'm going to teach it to you. But these are the different foundations that you need in order to have a business. And then let's find which and how it works for you. Now, for me, in order to actually get into that space where I was like, okay, yes, I can do this. As I am a little bit of a nerd, I interviewed over 100 retreat leaders to figure out what was going on in the market. But I was like, that's not enough. I need to experience retreats. So for 6 months, I went to one retreat every single week.
Wow.
So if you think about it,
That's a lot.
yes, my initial investment to open up my company was massive. Right? But it's not even just about that. It's about how I changed my life when I attended these retreats. I became a completely different person. And that's how I knew that more people needed to be hosting retreats and people needed to profit from those retreats because that was the biggest problem that I found out there, right? Around 80% of retreat leaders do not profit from their retreats because they do not treat the retreats like a business. They treat it like a hobby. And when I started going and seeing this whole deep transformation, I went to retreats where I left and I just felt lighter. And then there were some retreats that were so painful, especially when I did a Vipassana retreat. Oh my God. I left that retreat. I was running out of the door. It was so intense. It was not for me. And I completely honor the Vipassana journey. And there's so many people who benefit from it. But for me, I had a big lesson. It taught me how to go inside of me and learn how to meditate and be in silence. But there was a lot of pain in my body. And I got this message. Yes, you can do that, but you do not need to do it in pain. That part is not necessary. You've already suffered enough. No more. Isn't that extremely powerful for anyone to attend to a retreat and get this beautiful clarity on who you are, what are you supposed to be, how to treat yourself? And I mean, this Vipassana retreat, it was me locked inside of a room by myself. It was not
Right.
with other people.
No.
On silence. For those of you who do not know what Vipassana retreats are, it's a silent retreat.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I would like, I have not done one of those and I don't think I would enjoy it. I know people say it's powerful, but I'm not one to, yeah. I
It
can
is.
sit for myself for a couple hours, but not for 3 days.
Well, what about it's 10 days,
Oh,
the first one. And then if you choose, you can stay for 21 days. I mean, it's a powerful tool for people who want to reset their lives. A lot of people that are coming out of alcoholism, drug addictions, they do Vipassana retreats because you're basically cleaning everything from your life. right? And
Right.
it's for you to become a clean slate. I mean, I cannot even imagine how hard it is. It was very hard for me, and I did not, you know, I was not going through a big transition in my life. I was just experimenting in the world of retreats and seeing what worked for me, what didn't work for me, what I wanted. If I, when, you know, when I hosted events for over 16 years, but events and retreats, they have certain similarities and certain things that are quite different. So I wanted to really understand the ins and the outs of what I wanted if I hosted a retreat, what I wanted if I attended a retreat, how, you know, what are the best practices. That led me to doing consulting for retreat centers and for retreat organizers. So, such a beautiful journey for me to jump into this space of retreats. When the first retreat I attended, actually, it was last year at this time of the year. We're in July, but you'll listen to the episode later. But it was in end of July. I went to Nepal for my first retreat, and I left 3 days in because I did not feel safe. And the
Mhm.
retreat host told me, "Oh, you're leaving because you're not ready for the transformation. This is all on you." I know. Can you believe it? And
Yeah, no, that's awful.
so I have
That's
this moral responsibility to help more people learn how to host retreats properly, how to run them like a business, how to communicate with their clients, and also tell sometimes people, hey, you're not meant to be hosting retreats.
right. Some
It's
people
okay.
should not. Yeah, no, I've been to some. I mean, I didn't attend one a week, but I have attended a lot. And it's, some of them, even in the same location, one of them is amazing. And then another one, it was kind of like, well, this is like I went on a vacation. There was, it wasn't really like a retreat. It's like I went to a resort and I hung out, which is really nice, but not what you're expecting when you go to a retreat. So,
Right. Yes. It's not aligned with the promise.
right.
So, what else would you like to share with the audience based on your experience hosting retreats, now stepping into this role of helping other people host retreats from this operational perspective, but also the mindset? What would you,
Right.
what,
Yeah. The mindset is really important too, because I mean, as our mind really controls everything. And to have the experience we want, we have to believe it, we have to see it, we have to know that it's there. And I think a lot of hosts, they host a retreat, but yet they're almost hosting it from a place of like, well, I'm going to give this a try, maybe it'll work,
oh, yes.
or we'll see if it doesn't work, we won't do another one and all. Where as opposed to like actually seeing the retreat, envisioning the retreat, knowing what the transformation you're trying to get from the retreat, knowing how your clients are going to experience the retreat, and actually having that whole picture in your mind and having that mindset that this is going to make a difference and it's going to make a difference both for me as the host and for my clients, and actually, taking, I mean, I like to help people take that picture and go to the day of their retreat and the day after their retreat, and actually, the day after it ends, and see that successful result. Because I think when you have it in your minds, I mean, you find what you look for and you get what you look for. So when you change your mindset where you're already, before you even started selling it, you already know it's going to be successful. You already know that the type of experience people are going to get and how they're going to feel. And when you start out from that, it's a lot easier to fill it. It's a lot easier to get the results because you're already seeing it that way. So I think your mindset going into the retreat really has to already have the end in mind and already know what you want, have that vision and have that belief, and really see that's already happened. And then that makes the planning easier. That makes filling it up easier. That makes actually hosting it easier because you've already seen all this happen. So now you're just doing what you already know is there. So I think mindset, having that mindset that it's already, you've already seen the success, you know what you want, you know what you're going to get from it, is so important, as opposed to just kind of like winging it and saying, we'll try this. And if this doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to have everything planned to the T because things are going to happen, especially if you're going somewhere, a country that you've never been or a resort. There's going to be issues. Nothing's going to go perfect. But knowing that ahead of time it's going to be successful and how it's going to work makes even dealing with those issues a lot easier.
I totally agree. I mean, when I trained on manifestation and mindset and money mindset, right? A lot of people are like, yes, everything is in their mind. And I think for me, one of the biggest pieces that came to me is yes, 80% is in the mind and 20% is in the action. So we need both. We cannot just have the mindset that it's very, very necessary, because if we cannot see it, it's very unlikely that it's going to happen. So we cannot imagine something that we have never seen or created or compounded different elements. So we do need to have this piece where we see it, maybe with our eyes, our mouth, our smell, our ears, however you choose to do it, that's your prerogative. But then we need to actually take the action, because we cannot sit down and just meditate it in
Right.
the morning.
Right.
And
Meditate your retreat into place.
yes, no, and I mean, nothing wrong with the meditating in the morning for your retreat to, flourish and for people to sign up. And of course, energy calls energy. So it will help. But if you do not tell anyone about your retreat happening,
Right.
nothing is going to happen. So action is also very, very important when we're thinking about selling our retreats, making it profitable, creating the transformation. It's about communicating, right? Telling people, this is going to, hey, I'm doing this. You want to come?
Yeah, no, that's so true. Sharing it, putting it out there. Yeah, and that's what I mean. You need to have the actions, and I think having the vision helps you figure out what the right act. It gives you the inspired actions as opposed to just actions. But yeah, you can't just. I mean, you know, if I could just sit here and manifest being a billionaire, I would probably do that. Like I'm just going to sit here and think about it, and it's going to fall in. So, but that doesn't work. You have to actually do some work to get there, and I think that's in retreats. So many people want to have a retreat, and what stops them is one, the mindset that they think of the retreat, as you mentioned earlier, like as a hobby or something to try, and they don't see it as a business, as something successful. And then they also are terrified of what the actions that they have to do. They don't want to, you know, deal with finding a place, or a retreat center or a resort or an Airbnb or some place, and they don't want to deal with having to deal all those little things, because for some people that's great. I love those little things, but some people that the thought of doing all the little details is terrifying, and that holds a lot of people back too, because they say, "Oh, I would love to have a retreat, but I don't want to plan a retreat." So,
Right. And that's where you come in and other retreat organizers out there into this space. And that's why it was so interesting to have this conversation with you, because at the end of the day, I always say you do not need to be the expert, subject matter expert on everything.
mhm.
I do not, people who come to work with me in my courses, sold out and profitable, right? What happened? They come to my events in Vegas and everything that is happening every single time, and they want to be part of my world, is because they want to skip the line. They do not want to go learn everything by themselves, and they want to come and learn it from someone. The same thing happens when someone is like, hey, I want to host a retreat, but I do not have the capacity, the energy, the knowledge to actually do all the nitty gritty details of actually running the retreat. So that's where retreat organizers come into play, right? Like you, Lori, that you can actually help them put together all these little details, choosing the venue, making everything that is happening, helping them with their mindset so they can actually take inspired action, right? So the inspired action is on them, but you can help them with the mindset. And it's such a powerful offering, because not everyone is supposed to learn how to run events in order to actually run their business and do what they're an expert on.
Mhm. Yeah, that's definitely so true. And yeah, and I mean, I don't want to know everything. I don't want to know how to set up all my technology. I'll let somebody else do that. I don't need to know how all that stuff works. A little bit of knowledge is good. And I think a lot of retreats are the same way. You have your brilliance, what people have, what they're really good at, and they want to give that to their clients. and having someone help them, both with the planning and making it a business. I mean, because that's something that people don't always see. So many people are brilliant, but yet they don't know how to convert that brilliance to a business. And they also don't want to deal with all the details. So I think putting it all together is really what's so great about, being able to hold a retreat without having all that expertise. You can hold a retreat by just filling the retreat, showing up at the retreat, making your offer from the retreat, and not deal with everything else. Once you know the right people, and you can connect with the right people, and you can learn how to make money off your retreat, and then you could learn how to hire someone else to do all the details you don't have to deal with.
Yeah. I love it. Well, Lori, thank you so much for being here. This was such a joyful conversation. If people want to find you or, get to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, the best way is probably through email. My email is lmcdowell, McDowell, at reimagineu.net. So I'm on my email all the time, so I usually get that easiest.
Perfect. So everyone who's listening to this, you can find Lori's email and the rest of her information on the show notes. And thank you so much for being once again back here on How to Run Profitable Retreats podcast. I am your host, Lainey Cavazos, and I can't wait to see you next week.